All right, we're probably live right now.
Yay!
Yay!
It's our first Ask Anna of the year.
Of 2018, I know, and we're excited. We're going to have these every month and test that out and see how it goes. So if you guys are joining us right now, we are answering a few questions that came in, but of course we'll probably have time at the end for more of your questions. So if you have a question for us and you didn't ask it beforehand, you definitely still have time to ask it today. So you can ask it whether you're listening on Zoom or if you're watching this on Facebook Live, you can just post that in the comments as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put our outline link. So if you're new to Love Your Career Formula, every month when we do these, we create an outline of the questions that we're going to go through and the hot seats that we're going through. So let me post it in. Raven's here. Hey, Raven. Okay, I'm going to post the outline in Zoom. So if you're watching this on Zoom, I'll post it in the chat. And then I also posted it on Facebook Live, like in the top section. So you can just click that and go to the outline. If you're new, this is Jen. You see her a lot in the Facebook group. Hi, Jen. Thanks for joining me.
And the cats, sorry.
Classy Career Cats.
And the Career Cats.
Classy Career Cats. As far as announcements go, I just wanted to say make sure you check the calendar for our February dates for the breakthrough sessions that we have, which are really great because you can really get feedback from other people on the breakthrough sessions. We go into like small groups, so I would really encourage you to come to those because you can get a lot more personalized feedback on whatever you might need help with. And then of course come to our next Ask Anna, Ask Jen show because we like answering your questions. So I think that's it. Do you have any announcements? Anything?
Just to feel free to pop in a question anytime. You don't since we do these once a month, you don't have to feel like, oh, if I ask this now, it'll be a month before they get to it. We still answer them in the Facebook group as they come. Just the ones that we don't get to or that just have longer explanations are the ones we chat about live. So never hesitate to post a question any time of the month.
Yeah, or the ones that we think would benefit other people too.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions, a lot of them today, I think are going to benefit other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we always start with our hot seat. So let me share the screen so I can pull up our outline and our first hot seat of 2018. So I put it right here. So if you want to follow along, it's a resume review from Raven. And here's what she says. She says, oh, I'm going to make this bigger. Let's see. So if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can read this. So she says, soon I will be applying to a digital marketing master's program based out of East Tennessee State University. And here's a link to the program's criteria for you to review. So she added that. According to the criteria, I can apply for a waiver of the graduate school exam since I have over 2 years of related experience. I want to make sure my resume hits all the high points and looks amazing for the individual viewing my resume. So that's awesome. Okay, so let's check out her resume right here. Okay, so in this little circle, Raven, we deleted all your contact information because just for security reasons, we don't need all of the members knowing your phone number, so they're not going to call you unless they had a job for you. You might want that then. But Jen and I deleted your contact information, but I didn't get to see the original one. But Jen, you said her name, all of her address, everything was in that little bubble there.
Yeah, it was very visually pleasing, and she had even some additional formatting. So it was very eye-catching. Her name was right there. You knew who she was. So
yeah, and it's okay to be a little, because, well, first of all, this isn't like a formal apply for a job resume. You're trying to stand out and be a little unique.
Mm-hmm.
And what she's going for is a digital marketing master's degree. It is marketing, social media, and you are allowed to show your creative self a little bit more. So it is okay to have that creative resume when you're applying for these types of jobs. So this is what she has. So she has her skills, her education, her professional experience. Let's see here. And then it scrolls down. I think it was all on one page, right? When she submitted it.
Yes.
You had to transfer it to Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's dive in. So under the skills section right here, what I would do is I would call it like something other than skills, because I would either call it accomplishments or like highlights, because these aren't really necessarily skills, I think. Like you said, increase community engagement on various social media platforms by 20%. To me, that's an accomplishment. That's a great accomplishment. Keep it on here. But then you also say like social marketing certification. To me, that goes into like education, and same with Google Analytics for beginners certification. That to me would be in education as well. But creating a social media editorial that coincides with a theme and a company's brand message, to me, that's accomplishments, that's highlights. It's not, when I think of skills, I think of like, skilled at Excel or skilled in a certain area. And then I would also make sure that when you go through your resume that you check like tense as well. Because, hey Jen, I might mute you for a sec, or do you want to mute yourself? I can hear you typing. It might be your cats.
It's the cat. I'm sorry. So I'm going to move the item that the cat is playing with that makes it sound like I'm typing off the table. It's the cat.
It's the cat. I can't see you, so I just assume. Okay, so then the other thing I would look at is your verb tense, because you want to make sure all the verb tenses are the same. So these like check marks you have here, like you say increased community engagement. So that's like past tense, but then you have like social marketing certification. And then you have like create, and that's present tense. So I just, you just want to make sure that they flow and they're either, all past or all present, that they're all the same. And that would, if you take the certifications out and you put them in education, I think that would just be a great first start. Okay, so then you have your education, you have your community college, and then we go down to professional experience. And I love that you fit it all on one page. I think that's really smart, because they should be able to get exactly what they are looking for like right away. The one thing I would do is I would contact the university, or I would look all over their website. I didn't see it on that page you gave me, to find what they're looking for in applicants, in good applicants. Like what of the people, maybe if you go to like an open house there, or if you talk to other students that have gotten accepted, like what makes them different and get accepted to this program? Like what's the type of person that they're looking for? So you can either ask that question, or you can look on the website to see if they have like what they're looking for, because that to me is front and center. Like that to me is like right on top. What are they looking for? Telling them you have it. So are they looking for someone who already has a couple years of social media experience? And so you want to tell them right at the top, I have 2 years of social media. You probably should put that. And I'll show you an example of a resume that I used to do where I put that right on top. Like if you want to waive that what you were trying to waive something, tell them that right out at the top. I have 2 years of social media and digital marketing experience. And so basically, and this applies to everyone who's applying, you're figuring out what they want, and you're telling that to them in the very top of the page. So you might even want to like shrink your name and your email and your phone number and all that stuff and make that as small as can be. And then that will give you a little more room to really highlight like all the things they're looking for. Because it's not like a job where you can look at a job description and say, these are the things in the job description that the employer's looking for. It's kind of the same thing when you're applying to a master's degree, figuring out what they're looking for, and then you come in and tell them, this is exactly what I have. So the other thing down here, post daily on Classy Career Girl Facebook, collaborate with CEO. This one's great. Obviously, if you guys don't know yet, Raven works for Classy Career Girl, so that's why she is Classy Career Girl. And you can put, so our entire business name is Classy Career Girl International, LLC. So I don't know if that sounds a little bit more official, but you're welcome to put the full name. And then The other thing, so for the prior work, you want to make sure that is past tense. So added content, repinned, monitored, posted. Same with your work at Fashion too, and Terragram. So everything in the past is that past tense, and the work your sentences are starting with that past tense. Let me go to my notes. I wrote a few other things, and then I want to hear from Jen, because I'm sure she has lots to say too. I would add a section. Oh, what I think would be awesome if we can get space. That's why I'm all about like conserving space. There's like, I think there's some spaces, right, maybe between professional experience and your skills and education. I'd love to see a section that highlights your social media knowledge, because I think you could tell them, I know all the sites that you and the scheduling systems that you have experience with, and I think that's like a huge plus. Like you can basically say all of the social media sites, a ton of different scheduling softwares that you know now, as well as like Asana, like task management, project management. So there's like way more, I think, in here that you have experience with, and even like Facebook groups, like you're participating in Facebook groups, you're participating in launches, and even like in our Classy Career launches, and like the big picture of growing a business. So you could think about that too. Like there might be some like marketing things that are involved in more like launches or calendars and timelines as well. And then, yeah, and that section where you put all of your the social media platforms that you have knowledge and you personally have experience with. And then, okay, the other thing I wanted to point you to, and this is for everyone, is all of these great resume templates that we have in Love Your Career Formula. Oh, of course. Okay, I'm going to let Jen go, because I swear every time I think I'm logged in to Love Your Career Formula, I'm not, and I don't want you all to see my password because it's super long. So while I log in, Jen, do you have any other feedback for Raven?
Just like, I feel like there's even more she could brag about herself, because I mean, I work with her, and I've worked with her for 6 months, and I feel like the things I think though that you pointed out for the different actual, not only the types, right? So you got your social media, you got your Facebook, your Instagram, but also the different tools. I mean, she does mention Hootsuite, Google Analytics, but yeah, I think at least for the Classy Career Girl, I don't know, would it be, well, she could add, I don't know, should she just make Classy Career Girl 1 and just mention that she started as an intern and was promoted to the position, to kind of emphasize that? I'm always big on like emphasizing, those kind of things where I was promoted, like, and so I don't know if there'll be a cover letter that'll go with that. And that's kind of more of a place where you can brag on yourself a little bit more. But I know, like, I was hired as an office manager and was promoted. Technically, I made the same amount of money, but they hired an admin and had me just focus on one aspect of the office management that I was really good in. So I was trying to kind of emphasize that. Yeah, I think you could combine those, and then you can really pack even more data of what you've done that's awesome, of your awesomeness. And then I don't know, when is it appropriate to do a portfolio, right? I mean, she talks about making beautifully crafted images and working them, maybe an example of how we kind of do our month at a glance on Canva. I don't know if a portfolio is appropriate here or not, but
if they let you, I think that's a great idea. Like,
yeah, and even just maybe snapshots of the, if there are any of like growth before I started, growth after I took the position, just be awesome. And then, yeah, there wasn't on the link, right? We talk a lot about social media, but if there's an analytics, but if there's anything else maybe to emphasize, if you've done, digital marketing research, they talk about some different types of digital marketing, things that aren't related to social media. And I'm mostly aware of social media, so this is a bit over my head, but if there's anything else you can emphasize from this list on the link.
Yeah, like the analytics, I like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I know when she comes to team meetings, she's told me like how much our followers have grown on Pinterest, and then so you could definitely squeeze a lot more of the accomplishments that have happened on CCG platforms since you started back in June. Yeah, and I think also too, if you're, you might want to ask them if it's 2 years of like, I don't want them to like think you were an intern and you weren't really working very hard too. So like, that's another reason that Jen said you might want to combine them so you know, because I know you were an intern, but you were like, it's not just an hour here and there. Like you're putting in a ton of work. And
I can be a reference.
A bad rap, you know?
Yeah, like I know how hard Ravens, and I know how hard for me, coming from an outsider's perspective, like I know, right, that there's really awesome interns, and then there's, you know, and I've had a majority of interns be awesome, but yeah, definitely make sure they understand that, you know, you were completely and totally engaging as part of the team, even when you very started as an intern. You, yeah, definitely want to emphasize
the Facebook groups too, like that's
yes
too, because I think like we've talked about how Facebook groups are getting bigger as well. And I think for everyone too, I mean, we're so focusing on Raven's resume right now, but big picture wise, what Raven has done of diving in and getting an internship, she didn't even like formally apply. She was active in our Facebook group, Classy Corville Network. I noticed her name commenting a lot, and she said she's interested in social media, and I had a need I needed to fill, and so I said to email me, and she messaged me and emailed me, and that's how she got the internship. And it was, you know, where she started was doing, I don't know if it was very fun where I had her start doing, she went back to like all of her old blog posts and was pinning old stuff and redirecting stuff, and it was not something I wanted to do. So she kind of had to start from that like ground floor, you know. And so I think hopefully that's encouragement for everyone who's making that career transition and trying to break into something new, that can happen even without a resume. Like I've never seen, I didn't even, you know, get a resume. I just could tell she was excited about CCG and excited by posting in the Facebook group, and she was just popping up everywhere with like posts and stuff. So I think that it's a great model. It should be a case study. We should do a case study.
I have been seriously thinking like she is like really truly, because of she's a really great example of the power of just networking and volunteering and just being present. And how, I mean, we have over 12,000 people now in CCG, and I know it was a little smaller then, but you think if that person stood out,
yeah,
that's really something. Yeah, she needs to be our case study, definitely.
Yeah, and then from like asking if I want more help, and then learning more of the platforms too. Like she just started on Pinterest, and then now Instagram, and you know, and all these other things, and scheduling and stuff. So it's definitely, it can be done.
Yes, it does. And even I got a new client today, and word of mouth, same thing. The woman didn't need to look at my website. I actually kind of started, I was like, oh, well, let me tell you my skill set, because she was just ready to jump in because she's heard so many great things about me from another client. That's how it happens. It's not, you know, there are other more formal ways, but when you do it really well, you know.
Yeah, and I think we have a question coming up later too. We'll be talking about networking, because we have a question about that coming up. Were you going to say something else?
Oh, and just, you know, I know like it, you know, Raven is a self-described, she'll say like, you know, she's introverted. I know you're introverted. And so I think that's even better for people to hear, because I know not everyone's as outgoing as I am. I'm super outgoing. It's super easy for me to be, to make friends and to network, or, you know, make acquaintances. So you can see the power of how Raven used her natural skill set, which is more introverted, but still stood out in a crowd.
Exactly. So I wanted to show, I'm going to just share my screen and show you all in phase 2, if you have not seen yet, in phase 2, under resumes and other docs, you go to start lesson there. Lesson 5 has done for you templates. So Raven, this might be something you want to look at too. And you can click here to access the Love Your Career Formula resume templates. And so there's all these different designs. Like you might find one that you like, because you're in a creative field, Raven, you can, have something a little bit more creative or colorful, or, make it stand out a little bit more. So you can look at those creative ones. The other thing is, if you just want a plain black and white one and you want to fit in all this great stuff about yourself, then I would go to option 1, which is a basic black and white resume template, which is my old resume. So let's see here if I can pull it up. So, and it's actually still in a Word doc. So you could actually take it, and all the bullets are, this is like my perfectionist tendency coming out in this, right? Because it's like, now you can see it. So I fit a lot on here. This is one page. Oh, we're not updating my computer right now. John, he hates it when I click ignore. It would drive him crazy if he was here. So you see how like I fit my name and my old, this is not my current information. I fit it in just like the very top section. So as small as it can be, because that's not why they're hiring me, because where I live, they're gonna look, obviously, make sure you live in the same hometown probably. But this is like the top section where I was telling you, Raven, to like tell them exactly what they're looking for in that very top section. So you could tell them up here, I used to say with 5, like with the number of years experience. So I would say, you're a social media coordinator with over 2 years experience in digital marketing, community management, Instagram, like all the things that you want to put here. And then you could put bullets under there as well. I always like to put something just a little more about my personality as well. So if you've taken like the strengths quest, or just like I put, proactive team leader, helper, motivator, encourager, just something just a little bit different than like especially if you're applying to a master's program as well. Like you can kind of talk about yourself a little bit more and a little bit more personal. And then any awards that you've received, or any like accomplishments. Obviously, you have a lot of accomplishments. And then I always put like the education section. So for you, probably I would put that education section at the bottom, because you want to highlight the years of experience you have, because that's, you want to waive that thing. I can't remember, was it a test or something? I can't remember.
I think it's the GRE. I think she can waive the GRE.
Okay. So I would put education at the bottom, make it very small. And you can also put like a skills section, or put your certifications under there as well. But yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you an outline for the resume. Let me see if she had any other questions in the Facebook group, because I know
she's with us live.
I know she's here with us. Under resumes, okay, no questions. Awesome. Looks like we have Ruth here as well. Hi, Ruth.
Yay.
Hello. Okay, so let's dive in then to the rest of our questions. Thanks, Raven, for being our hot seat today.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good example for everyone as well.
Yeah. I love the diversity that we get from these resumes, because you might look at someone, you're starting out from college and moving into, versus we had the last time someone who was, I think she was an MBA. So you really, it doesn't matter what your resume is, even more. You don't have to feel like, oh, everyone's going to judge you for what your experience is, your education is, or isn't. you know, whatever you're applying for, let's make sure it shows how you're the perfect fit for it.
Exactly. So how can people sign up to be a hot seat in the future, Jen?
They can literally use the hashtag hot seat. I know one time someone emailed you and you forwarded it and said, oh, see if she wants to be a hot seat. Facebook's great. Message me, email Anna or I. And it doesn't have to be just your resume. We can go over your LinkedIn profile. We can do a cover letter. We could be open to other options as well. Maybe you have an online portfolio. I know people in more of the arts sometimes need to have one. I volunteer with a scholarship foundation and we require them to submit some type of portfolio. But just make your needs known. We would love to help you, and we could even potentially fit in too if we had a big swarm. So don't hold back.
Nope. Definitely not. Yeah, so that's definitely an opportunity available for anyone to get a review of whatever they need. It could even be like, you know, I would love to do this sometime, is do like a mock interview and like do some like practice interviewing questions or practicing your elevator pitch or something like that too.
Ooh, yeah, that would be awesome, because we can do that with Zoom. We could, you know, bring someone on as another panelist, and that would be fun.
Yeah, it would. We'll have to see who wants to do that.
And maybe I'll start, maybe I'll just kind of do, you know, a few more reminders on, you know, a week or two leading up, like, hey, who has a resume they want to, or be warned, if I do a poll, I might be fishing. I might start asking, like, how confident are you in your resume? And for the people that were like, it could be like, do you want us to review it? So I might start fishing a little.
Hashtag hot seat.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to our next question. It came in from Hannah from the UK. I think, you were on a breakthrough session with Hannah before, I think.
Yeah, with Hannah and Raven 2 weeks ago. And that's when Raven's like, well, I do have this resume. I'm like, hot seat. She's like, well, if anyone else volunteers, I don't have to go. I'm like, no. We want you.
Yeah. So Hannah asked, do you have any advice or tips about creating your own LinkedIn slide shares or articles? So I think articles, first of all, would be a great idea to be able to share with your LinkedIn network what your expertise is and kind of grow your personal brand. So to me, that would be like a top priority to start posting on LinkedIn. So it's basically like a blog. You could, even if you have your, like sometimes I take my own blog posts and I publish them on LinkedIn because it's just getting out to a larger network, a larger group of people. So for you, it's important to know what your market is, or what type of HR people do you want to be seeing your posts. And when they come to your LinkedIn profile, what are those posts that you want? It's like at the top of your LinkedIn profile. Like, so what are those titles that you want them to see? And it really depends on what you're applying for and what you want to be known for. So it might take a little bit of thinking of like, what's your brand all about and what's important to you and what do you want to be known for? And when a recruiter comes to your LinkedIn profile, what do you want it to show them right away? It's kind of like that top of your resume. So I would definitely do articles to demonstrate your skills and knowledge and try and do them like on a consistent basis. And you can even share them on different platforms. Like I'll often share them on Facebook and direct people back to that LinkedIn post. Same with Twitter. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get more eyes on it, and you can ask for comments. You can share it into different groups as well, if groups allow that. So I found an article for you from the Muse, which is a great career site. It's about 4 ways to write LinkedIn posts that turn into career opportunities. So that link is right here, so you can kind of read that through. But what I liked about it is it kind of talks about the same thing. Like, you need to have a purpose, a reason for your personal brand to be, what are you going to be talking about? You're allowed to be a little bit more creative as well. And this is really, some industries, they're not hiring from LinkedIn. So you have to know if your industry is looking at LinkedIn. If the recruiters for the type of career you want, are they on LinkedIn? Because I know, like, when I used to work for the government, I was like the only one on LinkedIn. Not many people were on LinkedIn because it was government work, and so people were scared to put their information about what they did for security purposes. They didn't want to put that on social media, and this was a few years back, so it wasn't like acceptable for them to be posting about what they did on social media. So that prior work, I mean, that it wouldn't have been smart. If I wanted a career in the government consulting, LinkedIn posting probably, wasn't the top place because the recruiters weren't necessarily always on there. So yeah, so this article is really good. So that's one option for you. And then the other one you mentioned was LinkedIn SlideShares. And I'm pretty sure that there's a way where you can use your PowerPoints and your charts and any samples of work that you have, upload them to a SlideShare, and then you can embed those into your LinkedIn profile. I know this used to be a possibility. I feel like LinkedIn is changing by the day. So you might want to check on that. But this article I found for you as well is all about using LinkedIn and SlideShare. And basically, like, it talks about, I mean, so many recruiters are using LinkedIn. So showing your work, showing any type of work you've done in the past in a PowerPoint and it's kind of what we were talking about, Raven. It's like you have this resume and it says you did all this great stuff, but we want to actually see in a portfolio or see in kind of some visual way that you really know what you're talking about, and putting together those slides where people can actually see, okay, she really does know about social media. Like, Raven could do a PowerPoint on growing an Instagram account, or she could do a PowerPoint on scheduling her Instagram account and how she goes about doing it, how she makes sure, there's 2 posts that go out every single day. She could even do a PowerPoint on, because I know what she does so well, on, Instagram stories and how, they're rather new, and probably most companies are not using Instagram stories like they could be. And so, there's just so much knowledge that she has. And so she could do those slides, she could put them on SlideShare and upload them into her LinkedIn profile, and there would be like a great way to demonstrate, this is my resume, but I really know what I'm doing. And that's another thing on Raven's resume. I don't know if she had a link to her LinkedIn profile, but that's another thing that you want to be including in your resume too. Jen, have you ever done SlideShare or LinkedIn posts?
I have not, and so I'm actually thinking that's really something that could help me and benefit me. Mine's a little different since I'm more doing the entrepreneur track personally. My contribution was, I love that, Anna, you said you need to have a plan, kind of write out your steps, maybe plan your content in advance. I think that's a big hurdle to overcome when you're trying to adapt incorporating social media into your job search, whether you're doing a job search or whether you're starting a business, having that plan, having it organized, having it, kind of having topics that grow off another, or that are especially relevant. If anything happens where you can, draw in a current event that relates without getting into politics or anything, but, just something that might be a buzzword that people are looking for. But I haven't done it, so I'm definitely going to need to add that to my to-do list, is get a little better on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point about social media in general. So wanted to point out in phase 2, we also have a whole section on using social media to job search. It's called Job Search with Social Media, and we cover Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, all the sites. What did I forget? Twitter. And I also talk about starting a blog to find job, setting up a blog, and blog content ideas. And so that's the blog content ideas would be a great place to start, from what Jen said, of like getting all those ideas out, because in essence you're starting a blog, and it might be something like, every time I do a LinkedIn article, I link people back to my website, because my website is like my home base. So anytime I post on Instagram or Facebook or anything, we're always directing traffic back to our home base. So that might be like a long-term strategy for you, Hannah. Like, Maybe it's not, you know, tomorrow that you need to start a blog. LinkedIn's a great place. LinkedIn already has like the whole platform ready and viewers ready to like read your articles. So it's a great place to start. It's just you don't own the content. So you just have to know that if LinkedIn goes away tomorrow, so does all your work. And that's just something that you want to be aware of too. So let's go to our next question. I think Janine was just doing market research when she asked, what social media platform do you spend the most time on for working moms, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think that's a good question to ask. What are ways to find out, right? Like, what are ways to find out where your tribe hangs out? Because you want to reach them, you know, Google Plus, Twitter, maybe those, you know, if that, it's not very often people use those, but if your people hang out there, emphasize there. But I think Instagram and Facebook are, and Pinterest is definitely has been, and I think, you know, in time maybe YouTube, but try to, you know, it helps to know where your people. So it was great. She asked, we should all be trying to make sure we know where our tribe hangs out.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, what if she's going in, and I know she's starting a business, but I'm thinking like a job searcher here, and maybe she like pretend that she's, you know, applying to a job that the working moms are the market at that job. And so she's going in for an interview. Well, she's, you know, it's a great way to like prepare for an interview to know the audience as well. And so, you know, it could be something she answers on an interview, you know, when they ask her like, okay, well, what would you do in this position to try and get more clients? And she'd be all ready. Well, I've done a lot of research in this area, and I can say that working moms are on Instagram and Facebook, you know, and so, no matter where you're applying, that's a great strategy to have that market research done. I don't talk about that in Love Your Career Formula. I talk about it in Corporate Rescue Plan, but it's kind of an interesting thing to know.
Yeah, that's true, because Janine is in both groups, because she is currently an employee, though she's on maternity leave. She's just had her second. But then she is looking in the future, you know, to start something up, even potentially while she's on maternity leave. Right. But yeah, I forget, you know, the power of networking, the power of knowing your market. It doesn't even always matter whether you're an employee or a career or entrepreneur. I mean, there's just some skill sets and some knowledge that can help you across the board.
Yep. Okay, so we have one last question today. If you have any other questions, we'll have a few minutes at the end to answer your question. So if you have any other questions, don't be shy. Just feel free to post them either on Facebook, on the Facebook comments, or in Zoom if you're listening on Zoom. Okay, so our last question came from Doreen. She says she's looking for some suggestions and guidance. She recently moved from Maryland to Florida to be with her extended family, and her employer was awesome and allowed her to continue working remotely during the recruitment for her replacement. So now she's ready to focus on her job search in Florida, but she doesn't know where to begin. I have no business contacts here, and I'm not sure I want to stay in the insurance industry. I took a leap of faith moving, and I'm open to more change. So she's looking for some thoughts and feedback on what she should do first in Florida and in this new big city. So first of all, that's a great arrangement that you were able to work that out with your company. So that's awesome. And what a great opportunity to be with your family. And you seem very open to change as well. So, you know, you wrote that, you're ready for this next step. So it sounds like your mindset is ready. And Jen and I both know how important that is to making that career change. So that's a big first step.
Yes.
Yes. She can't say yes loud enough.
Yes. Like, yes. It is all about mindset. But anyway.
So after the mindset part, and then it's moving into, and I think when I first wrote back to your post, Doreen, I put you in contact with all the networking stuff on LYCF. But when I reread it this morning, I was like, it sounds like she needs to really focus on phase 1 and really focusing on, because she's not sure if she wants to stay in the insurance industry. So to me, that's kind of like Oh, if you're not sure about something, there's something you haven't figured out yet in phase one about that ideal career fit for you. And so before even jumping into the networking, I'd probably really spend a lot more time in phase one to really get that clarity and the confidence, because otherwise it's going to make networking a little bit more difficult. And of course, applying to jobs a little more difficult as well in this new area. So that's what I would do first, is focus on phase one, so you have that better idea of the best type of career fit for you. What's my calling college? The dream career fit section is going to be really, really great for you, those two sections. And then once you're done with that, it's starting in on doing those informational interviews. It's going to networking events that sound interesting to you, to start getting in the habit of meeting people and starting to network with people. It could be joining some local groups on LinkedIn, and reaching out to people on LinkedIn who have interesting jobs that you want to do informational interviews with. So that would be my best piece of advice, is to do What's My Calling College, the Dream Career Fit section in phase one, and then to start doing informational interviews and to start going to networking events in the types of industries that sound interesting to you and exciting, and just be in that explorer mode. Just be curious to like meet people, try new things. It doesn't even have to be like professional associations. Like it could be like meetups for a hobby that you're interested in. Maybe you like to play tennis, like join a tennis group. It just starts getting you in the habit of like meeting people with the same interest. I think just that would be really, really good for you, Doreen. Do you have any other ideas, Jen?
Well, I'm really glad that you pointed us back to phase one, because I skipped over that as well. I immediately went to networking. Because make sure this, and even if you're like, oh, it's just a thought, it's worth exploring. You're at a great time where it can happen naturally, and it will also help you weed out the jobs you don't want. Yeah. Maybe there's just been things about, maybe it's a different position in the field of insurance, or maybe it's doing something similar to what you do in insurance in a different field. Use this time to really seek it out. And then, of course, the extrovert in me knows that sometimes networking can be more intimidating when you're less outgoing. But, there are times where I'm not at my skill set, which am not at my extrovertedness, and that would be dating. Horrible. And so I read this book in my 20s, maybe it was my early 30s, and I got all my single friends hooked on this idea, and I forget if it was 5 or 7, but the author of the book challenged you to talk to 5 or 7 males a day. And he's like, I'm not saying I want you to flirt with 7 different men. I'm saying I want you to go up and ask them the time. If you're standing in the Starbucks, I want you to ask them what kind of coffee they're getting or what they recommend. And he's like, I just want you to be so comfortable that when the right person comes along, you're open. So that's what, even joining a tennis club can do, right? You just get comfortable meeting new people, making small talk, chit chat, and you just never know where that connection will end. I've never dated anyone that I met in Starbucks, but I did keep a list every day. I'd report in, yes, I've talked to my 5, so.
That's good. Right. It does apply to the job search world too, but like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I think of like my long-term career thing is, I'm like, it's like a dating service, but for companies and for VAs. I'm going to be a matchmaker, but right? Because there's, things can exclude, things can translate across the board. So dating and networking, really not that different. So.
Yeah, especially for us introverts, like that, just even, you saying walking up to some, like in dating world.
That's where it's really good for me. Like, that's where I can translate, because any other time I would just, but to have him really say, and how open are you? And do you go out, like, he's like, you're going, like, he had a single employee and he was encouraging to get out to date. And, he'd be like, so you're going to this after networking party, what are you wearing? And she's like, ball cap, jeans. And he's like, you look great no matter what you wear, but Maybe this is a situation where it would be more comfortable for you if you were dressed more like the other people that are networking at a cocktail, you know, just to get the practice, just so you feel comfortable in whatever setting you're in. You know, maybe you are used to working in business professional wear, but maybe you're not. So maybe going to these networking events and having to dress up and be more in, you know, will just help you feel more comfortable no matter what. You just want to be comfortable in your own skin no matter what that is. And that I just want y'all to know that even extroverts get tongue-tied and shy too. So.
Yes, definitely. And I was going to bring up, because you said the networking challenge where I met with 4 people I did know and 4 people I didn't know. That was my version of being an introvert and being very, very scared to network.
It was like speed dating.
Yep. And then what you said about the insurance industry too, like, because I was in finance, but like Doreen, I was like, something's just off. Like, I don't think this is the thing, but I realized I liked teaching about finance. So maybe there is something in the insurance industry, like, what are those things that you really, really enjoy doing in the insurance industry, and figuring that out as well. So yeah, great ideas. Let me see. I think that was, let me see if we had any other questions that came in. Raven said, thanks for the awesome feedback. I'm excited to get started. Updating my resume with your feedback. How's that for excitement to get started updating your resume? We should all be excited to update our resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, that is it for today's Ask Anna and our hot seat. Thank you all for joining and for being here today. Feel free to keep posting Ask Anna and hashtag hot seat. We'll answer all your questions in the Facebook group. Jen, don't sign off yet because I want to ask you something at the very end. But everyone else, we're gonna shut this down. Say bye to Facebook world, and let us know. We're always looking for feedback too about Love Your Career Formula. So keep us posted, and we'll see you guys on Facebook. Bye, everyone.
And in 2 weeks at our next breakthrough. Is in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks. Come to our next breakthrough for sure. Bye, everyone.
Bye.